week's episode of Inside the Capitol. My name is Maggie Hangey. I'm here again from the Minnesota Catholic Conference. This week I'm joined by another colleague, Matt Hughes.
Hi everybody, Matt Hughes, Assistant Director for Government Relations for the Minnesota Catholic Conference.
It's great to be with you. There is a lot going on this week that we have to share with you. The first thing to share is that the House is back in session, which is why we're getting even busier than we have been. Late last week a deal was struck, and now the Democrats and Republicans are both back working in the Minnesota House of Representatives for the good of Minnesota. So we are excited to be back in session and back to work and to see what is going to come this session. There's a few key things that we've been working on, but first I want to highlight something we've talked about for the last few weeks, non-public pupil aid. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there, what happened last week, what's coming this week?
Absolutely. It's a reminder for folks. In mid-January, the governor put out his budget, his proposed budget, I should emphasize, and non-public pupil aid, 2 pots of dollars that assist students, non-public students, was cut from the budget, from his proposed budget. And so that came out a couple of weeks ago, and that cuts more than $100 million over the biennium in aid for students, for non-public students. And of course, the proposal defends essential services as busing, textbooks, testing, counseling, nursing. The Senate Education Finance Committee held a hearing last week in which Catholic school leaders came up along with other non-public school leaders and testified strongly on the impacts of that, the negative impacts towards students, and the fact that it goes against a long-standing commitment by the state to support.
Should that funding be eliminated? The negative impact.
Yes, the negative impacts if the funding is eliminated, thank you, Maggie, by the governor's proposed budget. This week, the House Education Finance Committee is holding a hearing themselves on the governor's budget recommendations for education. And again, Catholic school leaders and other non-public school leaders are coming to send a similar message regarding the proposed budget from the governor. MCC ourselves has been meeting with legislators as well regarding this issue, expressing our concerns and our opposition to the proposed cuts, and principals around the state, Catholic school principals, have been communicating as well with their legislators. I should emphasize quickly, Maggie, also that the proposal is only a proposal, and we do anticipate at some point, probably in March, a updated governor's budget at that point. So that's
Absolutely, and since we don't know what's going to be in that new revised budget, it's so important for Catholics to be activated, and it's been really encouraging to see the amount of principals and Catholic school leaders and parents who have turned out both in doing action alerts and in meeting with their legislators in support of this legislation. So thanks for all your work on that, Matt.
Thank you.
Another thing we've been working on for the last few years is the elimination of state sales tax on necessary baby items. So these are things like cribs and car seats, things that parents need when especially when they're welcoming their first child into their home. The essential products that they need to buy to make sure that they're going to bring their child home from the hospital, be safe in a car seat, have a crib that's safe. And one of the reasons that eliminating state sales tax would be helpful is these things expire. They have expiration dates on a car seat or on a crib, things like that. Different models come out, and so if you really want to make sure you have the safest item from your baby, it's best to get that from a brand new from a store, not secondhand, though we know a lot of people get stuff secondhand. But if we can get that sales tax eliminated on about a $1,200 bill that they would get by buying all the items included in the bill from a place like Target or Amazon, they would save around $200. So it might not look like a huge amount, but it really helps. That $200 might go to a safer car seat or a better crib or stroller for their child. So that's just a very pro-life policy we've been advocating for a number of years, and that is going to get a hearing on Tuesday in the House. So we're really excited about that, and excited to continue supporting that legislation.
Sounds like a positive development.
Yes, yeah, it is. That's one of the things. The House is back in session, so they're rolling with all these hearings and bills this week. Another bill, just to quickly highlight, is getting heard in the House this week, is to put a grant back in place for pregnancy resource centers and maternity homes. We'll see where that ends up. At any rate, it's good to get on record the good work that these organizations are doing for the pro-life community and for just the community at large. But one of the big things we're doing this week is sports gambling. That's something we've been working on for quite some time as well. We've talked about it in these updates to you, but that is getting a hearing on Thursday in the Senate. We encourage all of you who are out there to take action. Matt, how can they take action if they want to contact their legislator?
Well, we have a legislative alert out on the CAN, Catholic Advocacy Network, on our website at MCC. So that's one thing they can do.
Great, yeah, so just go to mncatholic.org. Right there's a button, take action, and we really encourage you especially to contact your senator at this time and encourage a no vote on this legislation. As we've talked about and written about, there are a lot of harms that could come from legalizing sports gambling, legalizing another vice, another addictive vice onto our culture, especially putting them on the mobile phone. So we are monitoring that closely, and like I said, encourage all of you to take action on that.
One other note I wanted to mention, Maggie, back to sort of the beginning, the big picture, is that the House, we've been talking about the Senate and the House is now back in session, but the deal that was struck indicates that if the special election in the middle of March is won by the DFL, it will be tied again in the House. And if that's the case, the committees will be tied. But for now, for the next 4 or 5 weeks, the Republicans have the gavels in the committees for the time being. But wanted to give you that for context as well.
Yeah, and I think that's helpful, especially for something like sports betting that has both bipartisan support and bipartisan opposition. It doesn't necessarily mean that if one party or the other has a gavel that it might die in that body. So we just have to be really vigilant on these things, because even if there is a tie, they could still get something done, and that is what we're here to help stop. So a lot going on, like I think we said four different hearings we're going to be weighing in on this week. We had a lot going on last week. Last week we had adoration at the Capitol, rooted ourselves in prayer. That's always so important. We encourage you to continue praying for your legislators and getting involved. And one other thing I'm going to mention for our partner organization, one way you can get involved is to attend, especially if you're clergy, to attend the JRLC Day on the Hill. That's a Joint Religious Legislative Coalition. They're having their Day on the Hill on February 27th. You can find more details about that at jrlc.org. It's so important to have interfaith advocacy on a lot of these different issues. One in particular is sports gambling. They're in opposition to that as well, so it's great to be engaged with the interfaith community on that issue. So we encourage you to find more information on jrlc.org about that. Take action on the sports gambling bill on our website, and tune in next week to see how all this went. Thank you so much.
Thank you.